You probably heard the joke that the cloud is just someone else's computer. And to a certain extent, this is true. Today, thousands of applications are running on the cloud, both by enterprises and customers. Even on your phone, you probably have at least 10 of them. Google Drive, Dropbox, Instagram, Snapchat, only a few of those apps that do not perform the processing and the storing of some data on your device, but they do it in the cloud. Have you ever put a file or an image on Dropbox and you were amazed by the fact that it almost vanished in the thin air? How does this process work? Let's check it out together. In the past, when we install an application on our computer or on our phone, we were using our device resources to run the application and store the data. This means that the CPU of our device was running the instructions of the application, and the hard disk of our device was storing those information. If you had Microsoft Office installed on your computer will be running the program and storing your documents on your local hard drive. This was true for companies as well. If you had a company, you probably had a basement with a bunch of servers that were running services and applications for your business. You likely had a lot of storage devices too that were persisting all the records you needed for your company. This way of running applications has radically changed, and the main reasons for these changes are two. The first one is that some big companies had enough infrastructure that they could rent some of it. I'm mostly speaking about Amazon. Due to the incredible growth of the online e-commerce, the amount of resources they own was massive, and they were also particularly good at handling them. Because of this, they could think of renting some of their infrastructure to other companies. That's how they started Amazon Web Services, AWS. As an example, Apple's iCloud run on AWS's data centers. So when you put a photo on the iCloud app, what happens is that that photo goes from your phone to the storage devices owned by Amazon. When you want to see it, you get it back from those same storage devices. This has given a great advantage to a lot of companies that now no longer need to build their own data centers in the basement, but they can just rent some capacity on AWS. But this would not have been possible without a second reason, which is the speed of the internet. Thanks to the speed of the internet, it has always been easier to send and retrieve data online. If in order to store or retrieve a picture on the cloud, you would have had to wait for days, no one would have ever used it. Instead, we can now transfer a huge amount of data and information at an incredible speed. And every year, with the introduction of new technologies, we can send more and more data faster. For example, a new interesting concept that has been introduced by Google Stadia has been the streaming of video games. Usually, in order to run a video game, you just needed your own hardware. This means a PC or a laptop with a graphic processing unit and a CPU, or a dedicated console such as a PlayStation or an Xbox. But what if the game can be run in a data center in a different part of the world and stream through the internet to your computer? In that case, you only need a monitor and a keyboard in order to play it. If you want to play with the best possible graphics settings, you just rent the best piece of hardware in that data center, paying for a higher price. Or if you were okay with the standard settings, you could just save some money by using a less performant machine. This could not have been possible in the past, since the internet infrastructure was generally not able to be this fast and reliable. But now, especially with new technologies such as the 5G, this can be true. Another interesting application of this concept is Spotify. Why would you want to buy and download some albums and CDs when you can have access to the biggest music catalog for a monthly subscription? So I'm actually a musician, so I think that there are a good reason for why you would want to do that. But just for the sake of this example, let's assume that it's the best thing you can get. In this way, you do not have to download data and worry about putting them into a hard disk. Instead, Spotify uses the data centers of Google Cloud Platform. And thanks to the internet, they allow real-time transmission so that you can listen to the song on your phone as if it was on your mobile device, without realizing that that song is probably coming in real time from another part of the world. I really hope you enjoyed this quick introduction on cloud computing. If you're interested in these types of video, please like it so that I know that there is enough interest and I can make some more videos related to this content. And as always, please subscribe to the channel.